about Galway then, Joe? You know, first year in the round robin that they're not getting out of it. It feels like there's going to be an inquest about this one tonight.
Yeah, to be honest about it, it's fairly depressing, to be honest. As a supporter, as a kind of an ex-player, I know a lot of the guys, obviously, from playing with them over the last number of years. It's not in a good place at the moment. They just never got going all year throughout the league, fits and starts, but then in the championship, drawn with Kilkenny, lucky to draw against Kilkenny. Kilkenny were missing a few of their top players. Then obviously the sending off against Antrim had a big bearing on it, and then they pulled away in that, losing to Wexford, and then today, it's not good. It's not good, and they'll be very disappointed with the year.
You'd have to kind of question the approach as well, Jack. I thought at the start of the year they were my team to win the league. As I said, in 17 won the league. They had Carlow at home in the first game. You'd have fancied them, and they did take care of that. Why not go and win the league? But they seemed to have a kind of a throwaway attitude towards the end of that there was bigger things to do. And I know, look, they were very unlucky maybe in one way against Limerick 2 years ago. The Leinster final last year seems to have really ruined the momentum. That was just there for the winning, didn't get over the line, and things have seemingly sunk after that. Whether they're fully sunk, we won't know.
Yeah, it's just when you're comparing, you could see Dublin had a game plan today. When you look at Galway, I'm not too sure. I couldn't see how they were playing, how they were working the ball out, how they were feeding it into the forwards. There was no real structure as such. Whereas Dublin, you kind of knew. And other teams, you know the way Limerick play, you know the way Clare play. And
a lot of talk about, Eamon O'Shea was brought in, and it's probably the ball up. We were kind of looking at it maybe, and there is a lot of movement going on above, but is the ball being delivered to those guys when they're making the runs? Is it delayed too long? That sort of thing. Yeah. It's all about the sync between the backs and the delivery and the midfield up into the inside line. Yeah. The inside line looked very threatening on paper, but no return really today.
Yeah. But even with Eamon and Henry and the lads, it's two very contrasting styles. Eamon O'Shea is all about space, movement, with Tipperary the last number of years, and then Henry's Kilkenny were more direct. So maybe that takes a little bit of time to kind of bed into the players as well, because maybe there's different styles and trying to match that, and it could take time. Okay. It just might. Obviously, it's not this year.
Yeah, definitely not this year. We'll dig into that game in a little bit more detail as well. Let's drill into some of the detail, Anthony. Then it's been referenced in the interviews there, no doubt about it. The key point here is David Burke's sending off after 16 minutes.
Yeah, Galway were in complete control. Dublin's goal was probably against the run of play, Jackie. But look, it's a fun. I think tomorrow morning, when David looks at this, or tonight or whatever, he'll say, why did I indulge myself? But I genuinely don't think he tried to hurt or to inflict injury, and I don't think there's elbow to head there or shoulder to head. I think the clash is shoulder, not quite the shoulder, but the helmets hop off each other, and I just don't think it was intentional. I thought it was more of a yellow than a red, I have to say.
It's hard though when there's any head contact, Joe.
Yeah, there is, but you ask 100 people, 50 will say it's a red card, 50 will say it's a yellow card. It's unfortunate, right? But probably what Galway probably are grieving with there, I think the Dublin management onto the linesman didn't really sit well. I think with a lot of the players, you see Sean Lennon kind of going over to the Dublin management, and Henry there not happy with it either. And there was things at half time and stuff like that. So those things, I don't think anybody should be asking for any player to get sent off.
Yeah, that's fair. The other thing though is even
we don't know what was said there.
Yeah.
We could have said, like, if I'm on the line, I could say, ref, if I see a tackle like that. But maybe
it's the consistency as well. I think we'll see later on different issues with different players being sent off or given yellow cards as well. So that consistency may be there. I'm not too sure. I think it was very unlucky, and it did have a massive influence on the game.
Can I ask you a question about consistency even across that, right? Because I watched Don Logan, Jackie Tyrrell earlier, and they didn't agree on it. We were watching it today, and we had to watch it back several times or whatever. The consistency is not just in the referee, it's in how we all view it as well. That's part of it too, Anthony.
It is. And look, maybe I'm a bit old school, maybe, Jack, on that, and I never considered that a red card, and maybe now with all the rules about the head touching, I genuinely don't think David Burke's elbow or shoulder made contact with Fergal Whiteley. Fergal Whiteley be a tough guy. He wouldn't go down. He got a heavy hit, all right, but I think their face guards hopped off each other, and you could see them both. David went straight for his face guard, like that. He felt an impact. look at it. I think when he looks at it, he'll say, I shouldn't have gone. I should have just put out my hands, let him off, because the pass was gone to Owen O'Donnell, the play was gone away. He shouldn't have. Was it a red for me? It was just not for me. It wasn't a red.
That's fair. The difficulty is they were 5 points up at that point. Dublin then take complete control, and it's their key men again who really stepped up.
Yeah, and I think, Jackie, you have to say they had more leaders than Galway. They had more leaders, and they've shown them all year, you know, in sticky points. And, like, look, Micheál, I don't know, whatever he has done, he got this guy back into the country. Maybe Luke and Sarsfields can take a bit of credit too. Chris Crummy, great, a leader. Himself and Sutcliffe, the two older men of the team. This guy, you know, as I said earlier, he missed Na Fianna's glory, you know, run to the Leinster Club final. What a forward he is, Donald Burke. He's really just back to himself now. Now, you'd have to question here, who's detailed to mark him? Because you can't give Donald Burke the freedom of Salt Hill and expect there not to be damage inflicted on you. Here, you know, great work by young Dara Purcell. Lifted his head here, didn't go the selfish route. Burke, could Derek Fahey have maybe done a bit better? Maybe, but low. We always say low on those ones coaching. And, like, they just used the ball better. Crummy getting up, supporting. Wanted to get up the field. Their game plan is allowing him to get up the field. I just want to single out this fella who only got 1 point today, and we missed it with the cut-off. But Danny Sutcliffe, to me, is the spiritual leader of that team and has been for a long, long time. And he has given some service to Dublin GA, and I tell you, I'm delighted for him tonight as well, as all of them. And Dublin hurling, you know, there's been question over the years, you know, where are they going? Well, that's a great statement to be back in that Leinster final tonight and a chance to win it.
Yeah, because they'll be disappointed with last week that they didn't push on and beat Kilkenny. So there's probably a score to settle from last week as well. They'll be quietly confident going in to a Leinster final, because if they keep playing the way they're going with the trajectory they're going at, they won't fear Kilkenny whatsoever.
Need more Dublin hurling supporters there now than turned out for the footballers yesterday, Jackie.
Yeah, well, I'd say they might get that given the crowd I saw there yesterday. It's been a crazy few weeks when you think about it, though, because, you know, you've got Dublin in a Leinster final, who probably nobody was predicting at the start of the year. You had Wexford surviving, given, as you said earlier, 1 point after 2 games. It's been a crazy few weeks in Leinster.
Crazy, and the biggest talking point is obviously Galway out. You know, I think everybody in the last few years would probably have Galway in their top 4. And they've been in the last 2 semi-finals, and for them to be out of a round robin, you know, where you'd say you wouldn't have to win every game, it's a shock. It's a shock that they're out of it from the start to tonight. It's a major surprise, I think.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure depressing drive home tonight for you, Joe. So,
unfortunately, it is.
Yeah. Well, look, you'll be back, and we will be too, because that is all we have time for tonight. My thanks to the lads, to Anthony and Joe, for their company. Hurling provincial finals on the way in 2 weeks' time. Cannot wait for those. We are back next weekend as well, of course, with round 2 of those football group stages. We will see you then.